بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of outlines of transcendent philosophy. And as you know, we started in the last session, the discussion about knowledge by presence. If you were not present, then Alhamdulillah, the recording is available. So today, inshallah, we want to complete our discussion about knowledge by presence. We said that whenever we know something through mental images, then what is known primarily is the mental image, which we call it al-ma'lumu bil-dhat, what is known essentially or primarily. What is the external object of knowledge? We call it al-ma'lumu bil-arad, what is known secondarily or accidentally. For example, if I have a knowledge of a rose flower, the external rose flower is not known to me directly. So it is ma'lum bil-arad. What is known to me directly is the image in my mind. And this ma'lum bil-dhat by itself is known to me because it is present for me. So I have ilm huzuri, knowledge by presence. So it's impossible to have any knowledge except by having ilm huzuri. Those which are known through ilm huzuri, of course, it's obvious. But even those things which are known through ilm huzuri or conceptual knowledge, they are known through ilm huzuri. Because that surah or image is known to us by being present for us. So this is very important thing that we need to consider. I just try to reduce the noise of the fan. Okay. So Sheikh Ubudiyat says, as a result in knowledge by presence, the knower necessarily has two kinds of ma'lum. Ma'lum ba wasate, indirect ma'lum, which is ma'lum bil-arad, as I said, and ma'lum bi wasate, direct object of knowledge, which is ma'lum bil-dhat. And we explain. Then he has a beautiful point again here. You remember when we studied Bidayah or other books, even here maybe we mentioned sometimes, we have a kind of classification or division or taqsim which is nisbi, or you can say relational. You can say relative, but maybe relational is better. For example, we say وجود الوجود إما خارجي أو ذهني. But from another perspective, we say كل موجود خارجي. Being is either external or mental, but every being is external. Just when you compare something as an image with something outside, you say this is zihni, it's mental. Otherwise, even this is a being which is external. or we say الوجود إما بالفعل أو بالقوة. But on the other hand, كل موجود بالفعل. Or الوجود إما واحد أو كثير, ولكن we know that every wujud is one. Yeah, these are things that you know. The same is also here. Knowledge is always huzuri. It is just from relational perspective that when we compare some kinds of knowledge with each other, we say some are just huzuri, some are huzuri plus they show something else, represent something else. We call it husuli. So if we say al-ilmu imma huduriyun or husuli, is like al-wujudu imma خارجي أو ذهني والوجود إما واحد ولا كثير والوجود إما بالفعل أو بالقوة. هر علمی نیز فی نفسه حضور است. Every knowledge in itself is knowledge by presence. Just when we compare, we may say, okay, it is then either huzuri or husuli. Therefore, علم نتیجه این که علم مسابق با حضوری است. You remember we talked about the difference between مساوی and مسابق, تساوی and تساوق. مساوی means that they are just the same in their instances. Two universal concepts, when they share the same instances or individuals or cases or mistaq, we say they are musawi. But if they are applied to those individuals from the same perspective, we call them musawiq. Therefore, we said al-wujudu musawiqun lil-wahda or lil-shakhsiyya, not just musawi. Maybe in a city, all Muslims are from a certain country. Imagine a city, for example, in the West, all Muslims there are from, for example, Morocco. So, Muslims in that city and Moroccans in that city are Musawi. But to be Muslim is different from to be Moroccan. The consideration by which you say someone is Muslim is different from saying Moroccan. One is based on faith, one is based on geography. This is Musawi. But when you say al-wujudu musawiqan lil-wahda wa shakhsiyya, means this, for the same reason they are existent, they are also shakhsi or wahid, they are one. Knowledge and ilm huzuri are musawiq. علم مساوق با حضوری است. Then, when we say it is also possible to be husuli, means it can also be corresponding to something else. So, it's ilm husuli is a type of ilm huzuri. Okay. Then, based on this, we can say knowledge is nothing other than a reality which is present for another reality. So always knowledge is a matter of presence. In ilm husuli, in addition to this presence, we have correspondence, intibaq. If it is just ilm huzuri, like my knowledge about myself or my faculties, etc., it is just huzur. If it is my knowledge about something outside, it is huzur plus intibaq. Then a very important step that we should take here is that what are the things that can be present? Okay, knowledge is presence. In order to be present for something, there needs to be certain quality or certain characteristic. And also, in order to be able to have something present for you, the knower has to have certain quality. So this takes us to the discussion about tajarrud. Presence, which is a requirement for any kind of knowledge, is reduced to immateriality of existence. بازگشت حضور به تجرد وجود. Because material things, anything, to be more precise, anything which has امتداد, philosophers prove that anything which has continuity, whether it is ذاتی or بالعرض, sometimes something by itself has امتداد, sometimes because of something else has امتداد. For example, a substance because of its عرض may have امتداد. Anything which has امتداد ذاتا or بالعرض then cannot be present, because part of it is there, part of it is not there. So he says زیرا ثابت می کنند. Why حضور is a matter of تجرد, to be immaterial? Number one, first argument. زیرا ثابت می کنند که ممتد بودن, to be continuous, to have امتداد, continuity, whether it is بالذات or بالعرض, whether it is سیال in a dynamic way, is an ongoing process like حرکت جوهری, which has امتداد over time, or it is fixed and static. Sometimes امتداد is static, like a desk has امتداد, continuity. So امتداد, whether it is سیال or پایدار, it's dynamic or static. Is it ذاتی, essential, or عرضی, secondary? با مطلق حضور, اعم از حضور نزد خود یا نزد دیگری یا حضور دیگری نزد خود منافی است. It's incompatible, it's in conflict with حضور. Whether this thing that has امتداد wants to be present for something, or something wants to be present for this thing which has امتداد, there is problem. امتداد and حضور don't match. Why? Because this is scattered. This is not available in one point. So all the physical objects, أجسام, and their accident, أعراض. So basically all material things cannot have presence. Okay? The second argument that philosophers have is that أعراض, even if they are مجرد, you know, we have sometimes أعراض نفسانی, for example, they are مجرد. Like knowledge, according to some people, is, or according to مشهور, is كيف نفسانی, so it's عرض. كيف is عرض. أعراض, even if they are not material, they also cannot have presence, in the sense that they cannot have knowledge, They can be present for something, but they cannot have something present for them. So اعراض هر چند مجرد باشند فاقد علم حضوری به خود و دیگری اند. Knowledge is happening for something which is either واجب الوجود بالذات or at least it is جوهر مجرد. Araz is dependent. Araz, if it is material, cannot be even known. If it is immaterial, can be known but cannot know. Only jawhar, if it is immaterial, and wajibul wujud bizat, they can know something because something can be present for them. So all the physical substances and all their a'raz, accidents, plus a'raz nafsani, a'raz mujarrad, immaterial accidents, they cannot know. Okay? And immaterial things, at least they can be known, but material things cannot also be known because they cannot be present. So there's a difference. If araz is maddi, doesn't know and cannot be known. Araz nafsani can be known but doesn't know. And the only thing that can know and be known is jawhar nafsani or mujarrad and wajib al-wujud bizzat. Now, there is a very important point here, another important point. And I think, in a sense, it's very clear, obvious, but people maybe sometimes, need this warning. When we say knowledge is a matter of presence of something mujarrad for something mujarrad, okay? Something immaterial is present for something immaterial. This doesn't mean that all immaterial things are present for other immaterial things. So just because you are mujarrad, you have knowledge about everything. This is not what we mean. There is a need for some kind of wahdat, some kind of unity, some kind of relation should happen. For example, our nafs is mujarrad. Zatan, we are mujarrad. But do we know all the mujarradat? No. روشن است که این که میگوییم حضور از ویژگی های موجودات مجرد است به این معنا نیست که بی استثناء هر مجردی مانند ای نزد هر مجرد دیگری مانند بی حضور دارد. So when we say presence is one of the characteristics of immaterial things, it doesn't mean that without exception any immaterial thing is present for any other immaterial things. As I said, there needs to be a kind of unity. How this unity happens, what kind of relations qualify for this? He says, there must be an existential relation between them. For example, cause and effect. رابطه علی معلولی, the causal relation. One is cause, one is effect. One is fa'il, one is qabil. One is the one that does something, one is the one that accepts and admits. So when there is cause and effect relation, then there can be a kind of unity which would qualify this for huzur, or presence. پس وحدت یا رابطه علی معلولی است که سبب حضور مجردی نزد مجردی می شود. So unity or cause and effect relation is the one that leads to presence of something immaterial for another thing which is immaterial. So every immaterial thing except psychic accidents, a'raz and afsani, they are present for themselves. They have knowledge of themselves by presence, ilm huzuri, about themselves. And also wajibul wujud and immaterial substances, they have also knowledge about themselves through knowledge by presence. And also effects which are immaterial are known through knowledge by presence for their causes. And also causes are present for their effects if they are not araz nafsani, if they are jawhar nafsani. So ma'lul can be present for illa, illa can be present for ma'lul, and also everything for itself, but all based on being immaterial. There must be mujarrad, and for knowing must be mustaqil. For being known can be aras, but for knowing must be mustaqil, either jawhar or wajibul wujud bizzat. So if we want to have now a more precise definition of reality of knowledge, instead of saying hudur inda shay'in, presence for something, or huzur of a being for another being, presence of a being for another being, we can say presence for something immaterial, al-huzur inda mujarradin, or huzur mujarradin inda mujarradin, presence of something immaterial for another immaterial thing. And then, because for alim, for the knower, it has to be not araz, so to make it most precise, we can say hudur inda mujarradin mustaqil, or mujarradun hadirun inda mujarradin mustaqil. The one which is known can be mustaqil or ghair mustaqil, but the one which is the knower has to be mustaqil, independent. So حقیقت علم همان وجود مجرد یا نحوه وجود مجرد. So the reality of knowledge is the type of existence that something immaterial has, because its existence is the same as ilm for the knower. Presence is the existence of this immaterial thing. So we don't have ilm separate from ma'lum. Now, the next discussion that we have is about levels of knowledge by presence. Maratibul ilm al-huduri. There are different levels for knowledge by presence. Mulla Sadra says that immaterial things, whether they are independent or dependent, can be organized in a hierarchical order towards more perfect. The lowest is mujarradat mithali hissi, things which are immaterial but they have some connection with perception. Then mujarradat mithali khayali, And third, which is the highest, مجردات مثالی عقلی. حس، خیال، عقل. So, knowledge by presence is also then either مجرد حسی or مجرد خیالی or مجرد عقلی. But the thing is that this is a very interesting point. For the same thing, you cannot have three types of knowledge. Sometimes, for example, I see something. Sometimes I have image of it in my mind. Sometimes I have abstract concept of insan, not Zayd that I see outside night, image of Zayd in my mind, just the abstract of insan. You should know that everything can only be known in one way. It's not that the same thing can be known hissan, khayalan, wa aqlan. Every type of being can be known in a way which is suitable for that, which is relevant to that. Okay? So, one important heading that we have is تبعیت نحوه ادراک از نحوه وجود مدرک. So the type of understanding that we can have, whether it is hissi, khayali, aqli, follows or is subordinate to the type of existence of what is known. If mudrak is hissi, we can have only idrak hissi. If mudrak is khayali, we can have only idrak khayali. If it's aqli, we can have only idrak aqli. مدرکی که به نحو حسی درک می شود ضرورتاً همواره به نحو حسی قابل درک است و هرگز ممکن نیست متخیل یا معقول باشد. What is known through perception is only known through perception because that's suitable for its type of existence. It cannot be understood intellectually, for example. Okay? But everything proportionate to its type of being becomes subject for a particular type of knowledge. But this doesn't mean that we cannot have for the same mahiyya different types of being. Okay? We have hierarchical beings for mahiyya. So sometimes insan has a type of being which is hissi, a type of being which is khayali, and type of being which is aqli. Then they can become subject for different types of knowledge. This doesn't contradict what we said. We said the same being can only be known in one way. But if you have different degrees or different ranks or a hierarchy of beings, then you can have a hierarchy of idrak and understanding. ارتقای نحوه ادراک یک ماهیت. Upgrading the type of understanding of quiddity from hissi to khiyali or from khiyali to aqli is subordinate to ارتقای نحوه وجود, to upgrading its type of being. So if being is upgraded, idrak can be upgraded, but for the same being you cannot upgrade idrak. نتیجه این که در هر نوع علمی نحوه درک شدن مدرک تابع نحوه وجود مدرک. As I said, in every type of knowledge, the type of understanding of the subject is based on the type of existence of the subject of knowledge. چه در علم حضوری whether it is in knowledge by presence, when what is known is the existence of that thing, or ilm husuli, when what is known is the image of that. In all these cases, our general rule is the same, that the type of understanding is subordinate type of being of what is known. Alhamdulillah, in this way the discussion about ilm huzuri is finished and complete. Inshallah, in the next session we should talk about ilm husuli, and we have important discussions about ilm husuli. I need to check whether this week we can have the class or not, because inshallah I'm traveling again and I don't know time difference, internet, etc. So inshallah I will let you know. And also I have to check how many sessions we had for IIIS brothers, so that whether it would be sufficient for one semester or not, because we had some holidays. So we stop here. If there is any question, any comment, please put forward. As I said, those who have not listened to the first part of our discussion about ilm huzuri, the recording is available. Please watch that as well.
Thank you. Discussion. I have a question, if possible.
Yes.
About the knower, the alim, it is clear that why it must be immaterial. But about the known, about the ma'lum, why Mulla Sadra emphasized that the noun must be immaterial in al-Mawzuli?
Because if it is material, then it has imtidad in 3 dimensions. Anything which has imtidad, he argues, that cannot be present, because even it's not present for itself. Part of it is here, part of it is somewhere else. It cannot be present. Ma'lum has to be simple and have holistic existence for alim. I imagine, for example, if there is a stone in my hand, this stone is not present for me. Yeah, this stone is not present for my nafs, even if it is in my hand. Even my own hand, physical hand, is not present for me, because being material make it distinct from me, make it separate from me. Something physical cannot be in the realm of immaterial things. Something immaterial can be present for immaterial, but if something is physical, it's another realm.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Don't immaterial beings dominate the material things? For example, God has the knowledge by presence to material things as well, because he is dominant to all the things and to material things as well. I mean, the being mumtad about the noun is maybe is not an obstacle to be present by the immaterial being.
If something immaterial is the cause for something material, maybe you can put your question like this: if something immaterial is the cause for something material, then how is the knowledge? Is the knowledge by presence or not? Yeah? For example, aql fa'al, who is the lowest intellect, is responsible for existence and maintenance of material world, according to Masha'in. So, is the material world known for aql fa'al through knowledge by presence or not? It seems, according to Mulla Sadra, no. It's not known through knowledge by presence because it is material. Nothing material can be known directly. But there is a ground, maybe you can also argue that because it is ma'lul and all the thing that ma'lul has comes from illah and ma'lul is not separate from illah, maybe we can have knowledge of something material by presence of that for its illah, not for other things, but for its illah. So this is something that is one of the most difficult questions in philosophy about the connection between qadim and hadis, even at the level of aql fa'al, how aql fa'al, which is eternal, can run, maintain material world. But it's a very important point, very delicate issue. It seems that, as you said, of course, as a humble opinion, I think when something is the cause, even if the effect is material, it seems that it is present for the cause, even if it is material. I agree with you, but Mulla Sadra doesn't seem to think that way, but maybe he's right, we need to look for more explanation. In the book, only this much is discussed because this book is very brief, and actually the main book was 3 volumes. This is a summarized version of that, and it seems this is the argument. Even in Bidaya Nihayatul Hikmah, always it says كل معقول مجرد كل عاقل مجرد. They seem to disagree with this idea, but we can look for more explanation. You are also, if you can also find more on this, please share next week, inshallah. One of the things that I think is that the way philosophers normally explain to us, which is great, but it still falls short from what we understand from Quran. For example, how in the Quran seems that Allah is not just connected through the hierarchy. It's not that his knowledge or his action is through, for example, aql fa'al, and aql fa'al, even aql fa'al is not direct. 9 intellects are between Allah and aql fa'al. It seems that Allah is directly also able to know and to act in every level. So we need a philosophical model that at the same time that recognizes hierarchy and different levels of existence, but explains that how the one which is higher can directly be aware of whatever is happening in the hierarchy. Maybe Mulla Sadra also has this idea, but we need to see how he has explained. Any question, any comment?
Thank you.
May Allah bless you, inshallah. التماس dua. I need your du'as very much. Khuda hafiz. Fi amanillah. سلام علیکم گل بابا، عزیز بابا. ما اینجا چیز داشتیم، تعمیرکار داشتیم. من رفته بودم فکر کنم با اون تو گاراژ. حالا من انشالله اگر برات خوب باشه یک 20 دقیقه دیگه انشالله به شما زنگ میزنم. قربون تو عزیزم، خداحافظ.
سلام علیکم و رحمت الله. میخواستم عرض کنم که قبلا